At a family gathering, my husband exposed a video of me cheating and everyone went silent.
My life has been a roller coaster ever since I came to this world. I would have some good years and bad years. I met someone and that person turned out to be my husband after years of dating. He was a very dominant boss. That is what I loved about him. He was very superior and made me submit to every decision he made. He was a real man. Every woman in our neighborhood wished their husband was like mine. He was a role model to some men. Everything was perfect until he started paying more attention to his work, and I started feeling like I wasn't enough, and also I was getting bored. I missed his compliments and the way he looked at me and touched me. Sometimes I'd be left alone in his huge house, and he'd be gone for a week on a business trip. I even thought maybe he was cheating on me. I was needy, but you can't blame me. He made me like this. With all the love he gave me and how he treated me, and all of a sudden he just got busy and paid little attention to me. I am sure someone can relate to what I am talking about. So let me tell you what exactly happened before my life made a very huge turn during a happy moment. I, female 29, met Matt Harrison, male 34, my husband in a bookshop where I was previously working before I became a fashion designer. He was there to sign autographs for his book, which was the bestseller at the time. I was shocked when he approached me because I didn't think a man of his standard would want to be with someone like me. A few weeks later, well after he had approached and we exchanged numbers, he came and picked me up after work for a little date, just to get to know each other, you know. And I found him very interesting and funny. He was born and raised in Texas. One thing I knew and had noticed about my husband since we had known each other was that he really loved his father, and he was his inspiration, because he once told me that his father owned a junkyard and taught him how to be a responsible man. What inspired him the most about his dad was that he gave him everything he wanted, and also his junkyard was very profitable. The book he wrote was about his father and how he motivated him to be the man he is today. He was more than just a man. He is very successful, but he doesn't show unless you know a lot about him. I loved the fact that he was not arrogant because of his riches. He was just a low-key, successful person. He moved his family to Los Angeles. His father wanted to move in an area with an ocean view. Imagine the privilege. We shared a lot about ourselves and our goals. I considered him my best friend because he was a good listener, you know. He knew how to make time for me, well, until he didn't. We shared a lot in common. He was very business-minded and enthusiastic about what he does. He became my pillar. He would even take me to different places that I didn't even know of, introducing me to different people who were fashion designers. As much as I had the love of becoming a fashion designer one day, I had the skill and talent in designing clothes and bags, but my wish was to first go to fashion designer school so I would get more knowledge about it and a qualification. The more we spent time together, the more I fell for him. Was I rushing things? But you can never say no to what the heart wants and needs, right? One thing about me was that I couldn't confess my feelings, and I was not about to embarrass myself like that to a man like him. Not knowing that the feeling was mutual, actually, can you imagine that? There was this day where he took me to this very classy and nice restaurant. We were actually going for our first actual date, and it was epic, and crazy enough, it was also my birthday. Yes, I had told him when my birthday was because he had asked me, but I never thought he would actually do something so good for me. A lot of people usually forgot my birthday, except for my mother, of course. But no one had ever done anything for me or even bought me a gift. I fell in love with him each second we would spend with each other. I have already mentioned that he knew about my dreams of becoming a fashion designer, so he advised me to quit my job and start following my dream, and he was going to pay for my college fees. I didn't want that because I wanted to pay my own fees, but he insisted. I was a bit skeptical at first, but eventually agreed to his offer. I had nothing to lose, right? Months later, our friendship elevated to being girlfriend and boyfriend. I was truly happy. I had the man I fell in love with at the bookstore. He didn't become my friend only, but my pillar and motivator. So what more would I have asked for? After some months of us dating, he asked me to move in with him because the apartment I was staying in was a bit far from him and the college that I was going to attend. I was not sure about his offer. He had done a lot for me already, and I was scared that he would somehow become controlling if I agreed. So I asked for some time to think about it. I was skeptical because I didn't know the outcomes of moving in with him. After 2 full weeks of thinking, I eventually gave in and moved in with him in his apartment. I mean, I had nothing to lose, right? And it was for my own good and safety. So it was very thoughtful and sweet of him. Our relationship was a bliss. He wanted nothing about me, and he was somehow insecure, so he made sure to take me to and from college. I really don't know where he got that time, but I appreciated it a lot. I fell much deeper in love with him, you know. A year passed, everything was still a bliss, and we were very inseparable. I passed my first year very well, thanks to my man for being the best. My dream was slowly but surely becoming a reality, and I couldn't be happier. My fashion design career had started booming. My husband had introduced me to some of his associates, and that was a great start for me. His associates then marketed my designs, which gained me a lot of clients, including some celebrities. My husband was the main reason I was that person I was. My fashion was outstanding. I even dressed some celebrities. It was bliss. After 5 years of dating, he finally popped the big question, would you marry me? I was so emotional and couldn't believe that I would be spending my whole life with the man I love. Obviously, I agreed to marry this man. I mean, he was the man of my dreams. I do not regret walking down that aisle. I was the happiest woman at that time. How I wished my mother was still alive so she would see her daughter finally tying the knot with her best friend. A week after our marriage, we moved to an estate in Las Vegas. He once told me that ever since he was a child, he had always wanted to own a casino. So during his book tour, he met someone who owned a casino and was very fascinated by his book. You see the power of making connections. It really helps sometimes. They became friends, and he was invited to be a guest in his casino. He ended up telling him about his love of casinos, and they made a deal. I sat in a shop in the mall, and I hired young designers to work for me. If I wasn't at the shop, I was at home drawing or sleeping. It was sometimes boring because I had no friends. The only friend I had was my husband. That was when everything went in a different direction. He was always busy, since his casino plan became a success. I loved his determination and enthusiasm, but I also needed his time, you know. Well, time passed, and he got pretty busy to a point that I would only see him 2 or 3 times a week, mind you, that it was during winter holidays. He didn't even come back home during the week of Christmas and New Year because it would get pretty hectic. I tried to complain about it because ever since he got the casino deal, he even forgot about my birthday. And it was really unusual and alarming. So when I complained about it, he told me that he was working for our future and our children's future. That was just a lame excuse to justify his absence and behavior. Or was I reading too much on everything? When I saw that my husband was no longer spending a lot of time with me, I started getting bored to the core. I then started going out, going on solo dates, or visiting the clubs in Vegas. I was trying to pass time, you know. I couldn't stay cooped up in the house for the longest time because I didn't even know when my husband would have time for me again. I missed him so much, you know. Even our intimate moments were no longer the same. I mean, he would come back home tired, so I would sometimes wear lingerie to spice things up and bring some action spark into our life again. But I would be wasting my time and effort because he would come back very tired and he would just take a bath, eat, and just doze off. What infuriated me the most was when he would just doze off during a serious conversation and always get tired after one round of our intimate moment. It was really a turnoff for me because I wouldn't reach my climax and he would leave me hanging and fall asleep. It was no longer fun in our marriage, and I hated that. Time passed. I was starting to enjoy my solo dates, going to check on my work, then visit clubs. It was somehow therapeutic for me, and it made me kind of forget about my miserable marriage. I mean, we didn't even have children for Christ's sake, so what my husband was doing made me think that even if we were to have children, that means those children would also suffer to get his attention. I was somehow glad that we didn't have any children, or the talk of having any children because they were going to suffer like I was. I started getting compliments from other men, as much as I wished I was getting those compliments from my husband, but I was starting to enjoy it. There is that great feeling and increased self-esteem and confidence whenever you get a compliment from someone, either your partner or a stranger. I had never even thought of cheating on my husband. I loved him too much to do him like that. But I had started wearing beautiful short dresses for him, to bring back the spark, you know, but he just wouldn't pay any attention to me. He would only give me a slight compliment. That would be it. I wanted him to touch me like he used to. I agree, I was selfish. I wanted him for myself only, and I started disliking his friends and business associates for the time they were getting from him. I mean, my husband was always either on business trips or meetings, or he would be with the boys. So, as time went by and I sold my shop to the highest bidder, I knew it was a stupid move, but I have had enough. I was starting to enjoy being at home all alone, since my husband was lacking in giving me attention and his time. I had to get used to being alone most of the time. People were starting to annoy me, and I felt uncomfortable in Las Vegas, since my husband was somehow a popular man. I felt like I was being watched every time I stepped out. Yes, people knew that I was his wife, and it was good at first, but I eventually got tired of being in the spotlight because of my designs and the person I had married. But it's really hard being known as the wife of the businessman, but that husband never has time for his wife, only his business and friends. I somehow felt like I was slowly becoming a furnisher in the house because I was always at the house if I was not out. His name was everywhere. I was proud of him for everything he had achieved and was in his mind. I mean, he was living his dreams, and they all came true. But I still missed him. I felt like I was just a trophy wife, someone who was just there to go to gala dinners with and come back home. He was just a hardworking man, and we only had time for intimacy once a week. Can you imagine the starvation I had? It was pretty hectic. Other women on social media thought I was just living the life, but not knowing how lonely I was. Imagine being someone you only see twice on weekdays. He comes home when you're asleep and leaves early in the morning. When he is at home, he is in his office and he doesn't want to be bothered unless you would be bringing him something to eat or snack on. I didn't know what to do anymore because he was not even paying any attention to my concerns. As much as I needed his time and attention, I was really concerned about his health. He was too attached to his work to a point that he would just lock himself in his study or small office room the whole day. I was really worried about him, and the connection that we had was slowly fading. I had been patient for way too long. I mean, even the heart that loves also gets tired, right? And love alone was not enough if there was no connection and affection. We were more life room or housemates because we were staying in the same house, sleeping on the same bed, but the connection was no longer there. I had known there and then that I had really lost my husband, not to any lady or whatever, but I lost him to his work. Time passed. He started going on his business trips for months, leaving me in the house. What did he think I was getting attention from? So I went out more often. Well, more like going to clubs more often. The way I was so stressed, I almost got myself drinking anxiety pills because of the way my husband was acting. It was stressing me out. So one night I had decided to go to the club just to unwind, I drank carelessly to a point that I didn't even know my name. So I hooked up with some guy that I had met at the club, and we actually made out in one of the restrooms, not thinking and knowing that the guy was actually taking a video of us making out. Such a pervert. One thing I loved about myself was that I would always remember everything that I had done when I was intoxicated. But that night, even God was my witness, I was way out of it, and I didn't remember anything that had gone down. When I woke up in the morning, I checked my social media just to pass time because I was waiting for my husband to come. I came across a very disturbing video, and the stranger from the club making out. It was really embarrassing. Even though my face was not showing, someone who knew me very well would know that I was the one on the video making out with that stranger. I was so angry, disappointed, and I don't even know how I can put this, but I was in a mix of emotions. I was scared that my husband or our families would see the video since it was trending, and I didn't even want to think what would happen if they were to find out. I tried getting the person who leaked the video, but unfortunately, they had posted it with a fake account. Imagine. I was very much nervous. I wished the earth would just swallow me, or I would just disappear and reappear after the whole thing had blown off. And I knew that my husband or any of our family members didn't see it. I regretted everything. Even going to that club, I regretted every minute of it. Even though going to the club helped me not to overthink about my husband's absence and how tense things had gotten between, it was really a good distraction. Just that I was very much careless. Weeks passed, my husband had not said anything regarding the video, meaning he hadn't seen it. not really knowing that the big jackal had actually seen the video, but he was acting dumb and he was waiting for the time to drop the huge bomb. During those weeks, I had been looking for the guy from the club and texting the person who had owned the original post of the video, but he was not responding. I don't even know how many texts I had left him to try and reason with him to take down that video, but I got no response. It was really frustrating and annoying. My husband once asked me if I was still happy in our marriage. Stupid me. Instead of being honest, I lied and told him that I was still happy. I know it was a pretty dumb move that I had done, and I regretted not being honest in the first place because honesty and communication is the key to successful marriage and relationships, right? But I chose to be a liar and a fool out of my husband. Not knowing that he actually had a video and he knew the truth, it was just that he wanted me to come clean and confess everything to him. But I failed. About a week later, my husband had been home a lot lately, and it really surprised me because I even forgot when was the last time I had seen him around the house. The worst part is not being locked up in his office, working. As much as it was supposed to make me happy, but I was not, especially for the sudden change of heart. He would still tell me that he loved me, but I didn't, and I couldn't believe it anymore. I mean, there were a lot of loopholes in his act, and it was really alarming. One would think we were so much in love and would look like the perfect couple ever. But I knew my husband and he was hiding something from me, and I had to try and find out what he was really hiding. A month later, I still remember the day very well. It was during Thanksgiving. So during Thanksgiving, we would host our family to celebrate with us. It had always been my duty to do the cooking and everything. Plus that time, the house was full, the whole family had come to celebrate with us. So as we were all chilling and laughing, sharing a lot about our pasts, it was a happy moment until my husband asked the kids, siblings' kids, to go play in another room because he wanted to talk with the adults. I knew that there was something deep and serious he wanted to talk about. I hoped and prayed that it was not what I had thought it was. I was crossing my fingers. I was hoping that he was not going to drop a bomb and tell us that maybe he was getting a new wife, or he wanted to introduce a child that he had made when he cheated. But the meeting was actually about me, which came out as a very huge bomb. You know, a bazooka. That was what my husband had dropped. He told the family that he had something to show them. Not me hoping that he was going to show us our wedding videos just like he would always do when the family has gathered. But instead, he inserted a USB on a TV and asked everyone to enjoy the film. Imagine the nerve of embarrassing your wife like that in front of the whole family. So, as the video was still loading, I decided to go to the kitchen and pour myself a glass of wine. When I came back, I couldn't believe what I saw with my own eyes. I couldn't believe that my husband was acting all sweet and lovey-dovey, with me knowing very well that he wanted to embarrass me in front of the family. Not only my family or his family, but even the extended families were there. I wanted to just pass out there and then. My husband was playing a very disgusting and humiliating video of me and the guy from the club making out in the club's restroom. Why would he choose the day of Thanksgiving to humiliate me like that? I had thought he loved me, you know. I didn't understand why he didn't or never even thought of asking me about the video before he played it for the whole family to see. I would never ever forget the eyes that were on me that day. Everyone was in awe. My sister's disappointed looks, they would always haunt me. I mean, they still haunt me till now. What Matt did was really a very low blow and too childish. He was supposed to talk to me first or confront me before doing what he did. Did he not love me anymore to humiliate me like that? My father was really disappointed at me. I was also disappointed at myself, I won't lie. I allowed the moment of weakness to control me, and it destroyed my whole 5 years of marriage. Imagine a 5-year marriage getting destroyed by only one night. Not even one night, but an hour of weakness. To think that my sister's child, who was 10 years old, was actually looking up to me as her role model. Now that I had made the worst and biggest mistake of my life, I didn't know how she was going to look at me anymore. Yes, the kids were not in the room when the video was played, but you will never know with kids. They are very sneaky. Matt asked my family what he should do about me and the issue that we were facing. How could he even ask that? Because he was supposed to sit me down and address the issue as married people, not to humiliate me in front of the whole family. Why would he choose such a childish act to address the issue? I just couldn't believe him. Yes, I did him wrong, but he was not supposed to address the issue the way he did. You know, if looks were to kill, I was pretty sure that I would have died there. His family looked really disgusted by me, and I couldn't blame them. I mean, I couldn't blame anyone because I did what I was not sober-minded, and the worst part was that I couldn't remember anything the following day. It was like I was drugged or something. It irritated and frustrated me that I couldn't remember anything, and if I were to explain that, I know that no one would have believed me because in the video, it showed how much I was enjoying the moment. But truth be told, I wasn't, even though it would be my words against the video. I hated and I still hate the person who took the video and linked it on social media. The family was left shocked and numb, especially my family. I didn't even know how I would face them after they had seen me doing such an abomination act in the club's restroom. Matt's family started calling me names and telling me how much I didn't deserve their son, and that I was nothing but a disgrace and a humiliation to the Harrison family. It was way too much. I couldn't even have the guts to answer for myself or defend myself. I couldn't even look anyone in the eyes. I was too embarrassed and ashamed. I felt so much guilt in my heart. I wondered how my husband had felt when he first got or saw the video. I knew he loved me so much, but I was driven by loneliness and hunger for intimacy, and it led me in deep waters and I can't even swim in it. I told myself that I had to find the person who had tarnished my name like that. I mean, I was the wife of a known businessman. I was a fashion designer, and not just a simple and lousy fashion designer, but I had designed for well-known people. So imagine how much my name and reputation had tarnished, how much my husband's name was tarnished. It was really too much. I knew I had put myself into that deep circumstance, but I didn't know how I would take myself out of it. I was really emotionally and spiritually drained and depressed. I couldn't take off the words that Matt's family were spitting at me, especially his mother and sisters. They would always ring in my ears. Not to mention the disappointed faces on my family. I didn't even want to think what would have happened if my mother was still alive. Surely she would have gotten a heart attack and died on the spot. So the voices got high, the Harrison family blaming my family for everything, and telling them how much of a failure they were, because they had failed to raise me to be an honorable woman. Some even showed their true colors. The ones I had thought I knew, especially from Harrison's family, spitted the most venomous words. Some confessed how much they never liked me for their brother, while some were comparing me to Matt's ex-fiancé. As much as the video was humiliating and hurting, but the words that they were spitting were stabbing me real deep inside my heart. My father couldn't even say a word. He was lost for words, so he just decided to excuse himself. I knew there and then that I had let my father down. The only living parent, I had let him down. Most of my family members that were present in the gathering just left. Mrs. Harrison, Matt's mother, told me to pack all my belongings and leave with my family because she would never share the same house as a snake like me, and she would never allow her son to share a bed with the snake like me because it had shown that I was pretending to love their son the whole time. A lot was said. My husband didn't even say a word, and the only thing he asked was what he should do with me and how he should deal with the situation. Right there and then, I knew that my ass was getting divorced. The only thing that my father had said before he left was him giving Matt a permission to do whatever he thought was right. If he wanted to divorce, he had his support. Because I had not humiliated the Harrison family only, but also the James family, my family name. But the only thing he wouldn't support or allow is him putting his hands on me. Weeks passed. Things were very much intense. Matt had called his lawyer and asked him to draft divorce papers. I, on the other hand, was busy up and down trying to track the ghost that I had slept with. And everything I tried was fatal. I tried asking Matt to sit down so we could have a chat about the issue as adults and married people, but he wanted to hear none of the things I had wanted to say to him. He even decided to move out of the house and told me that once the divorce process has been settled, I should look for another place to stay. My conscience told me that my marriage was officially over and dusted, and there was nothing I would have done to fix it or take back the hand of time. I wished I could take back the hands of time and do things differently. Maybe I wouldn't have been in the mess that I had put myself in. I had so many maybes and what-ifs in my head, but forgetting that I had put this all to myself. It was really hurting that my husband didn't even give me a chance to explain what had really happened. Yes, the video showed what had happened, but knowing myself, I was never going to cheat on my husband on a sober-minded. After like a month or so, I tried approaching Matt again, and luckily he agreed to meet up with me so we could have a civilized talk. I knew it was too late, but it never hurt to try right. And besides, as much as our divorce was finalized, I still wanted to share my side of the story. 1, I didn't know the guy that I had intimate moments with. It was like he was a ghost. And 2, I didn't even remember what had happened that night. So it was like either my drink was spiked or I was way too intoxicated, which I doubt I was that intoxicated to a point that I couldn't even remember how I got home. That was impossible, right? So we met. I went to our old house because he was not working. We talked and shared everything. I even shared the reasons why I started going out a lot, visiting clubs and all that. I then told him the reason for the meeting to clear the air to him that I didn't cheat on purpose, because if I had cheated intentionally, I was going to remember everything that had happened the previous day. But I didn't. Meaning, something had really happened. So I needed his help and his connections to help me track down the person who leaked the video on social media, because it was obvious that the person who did was the same person I had an intimate moment with. The video was haunting to the point that I could no longer sleep without drinking wine, at least to make me tipsy and be able to sleep. I missed my husband so much. The loneliness I was feeling when he and I were still married and he was too busy with work, and his friends was truly nothing compared to the loneliness and the pain I was feeling. It would have been better if I remembered what had taken place in that club. I loved and respected my husband and his image very much, so I would never do such a careless thing or act especially in public, just because I wanted to get my husband's attention. He was a bit skeptical at first because he wasn't sure if I was telling the truth or not, but he knew me too well. So he saw that I was telling nothing but the truth. About a week later, after Matt and I had a talk, he called me and told me that he had found the person who had linked the video. I was somehow relieved because I was going to be finally free, and people would know the truth even though I was not going to get my husband back or get his trust back. The guy had to pay for what he did because, in the world that I am living in, he committed a crime, and every crime doesn't go without any punishment. So my husband, or my ex-husband, really helped me uncover the truth, even though it was shown that no drugs or any drugging substances were put on my drink that day, which somehow made Matt pretty angry because, according to him, I think he wished to find out that my drink was spiked. The person who took and linked the video was arrested because it showed that he had a vendetta or an agenda to destroy my ex-husband. I didn't know why a person would hate me or my ex-husband so much and even think of destroying me and my image. Meaning that person had been tracking my whereabouts the whole time, and that day he saw an opportunity and took advantage of the fact that I was intoxicated to fulfill his desires. So wherever he is, I just hope that he suffers and never gets any parole because I had lost the man who had shown me nothing but love. Even though he never had time for me, but I knew that he loved me. Now I have lost all that because of his mission to destroy people's marriages. After some time, Matt and I sat down and talked about our issues, which we both decided that we would only get along as civil people. He saw that he was not supposed to hate me because the person that I cheated with was actually his competitor. So it wouldn't make sense to hate the victim while the villain was out there enjoying his stupid life. I was pretty much grateful for the fact that we had reached our common grounds and somehow came with the solution. Because according to Matt, I cheated on him because I had thought he was also cheating and he had neglected me. Though according to my own knowledge and perspective, I don't know what I was doing. I would say it was being ungrateful and not being able to be patient with my husband. I so wish things were done differently. Yes, it's too late, but I regret every stupid decision that I have made. Now I have lost everything, and there is really no one to blame but myself. I don't know how I can fix all of this and get forgiveness from my family and the Harrison family. I know everything showed that I did everything willingly, even though I couldn't remember it the following day, but only Matt knows the truth. So please help me find a way to approach both families about this issue. What do you say I should do? Please help me.